Alrighty guys, it's been a couple months and I'm not really sorry for it because I've been working. I've been diligently studying these markets, cryptos, forex, equities, all around derivatives, everything going on with our stock market and any type of market in the world right now because everything seems absolutely crazy. But I've got a lot of information stored up in here that I want to get out to you guys. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to cover three big things first and then we'll get into some of the other stuff as well. But right now I want to cover three big uncertainties that are affecting the stock market, okay? They're all across the board, you see them painted, but people are only talking about how it's affecting the market now, not the future value, which is why I am incredibly bullish on the stock market, despite everything going on right now in the world. People don't want you to see that, but that's how these big bank hedge funds work. So let's talk about the first uncertainty, presidential election. Today's November 2nd, tomorrow's November 3rd. We're gonna find out who our president is within a day, okay? Despite even a contested election, I believe the Supreme Court will step in, lawyers will step in, and it's gonna be decided pretty quickly who's what and who's not what. Get it? Presidential election, once that goes away, that's reduced uncertainty right there. Second thing, stimulus. Despite who becomes president, even if the election results are contested, that current president at that time, or for the rest of the remaining time, is still going to have to be doing that job. So whether it's Joe Biden or Trump, stimulus is going to be coming, period. Okay, when that comes, the market is going to love that. And the third thing, COVID. January 2021 is when all the health experts are expecting a coronavirus vaccine to come out. So can you not see how, regardless of who is president, 2021 is probably going to be the best economic year the United States have ever had in history. In history, okay? We got bond yields at all-time low, okay? We have interest rates at all-time lows. Think about the impact that is about to have on our financial markets, okay? People don't want you to see that. These banks do not want you to be able to realize this because they only want you to think present value and how you can make a quick buck, which is why they're fine pumping the market 2 to 3% every day or dropping the market 5% every day, because they don't want you to see what could happen if you actually decide to hold an asset. That's the difference. The biggest thing I've seen when this market's been tanking is cryptos. Cryptos have been skyrocketing again all over. Look at Bitcoin. People aren't talking about Bitcoin like they should. And with the Fed now coming out and saying they're looking at digital currencies, or a digital dollar at least, cryptos have been skyrocketing because the Fed has finally realized the potential for a digital asset. And people have realized, cryptos don't exist. You're investing in nothing. Well, neither does your freaking dollar. Look what your dollar is. It's whatever people say it's worth. And right now, your dollar's going down. So if the Fed has admitted to printing money digitally, and cryptos are skyrocketing now, just as they did when the market first crashed, don't you think that's a sign of what's coming? I at least theorize that a lot of these Bitcoin profits are going to start making their way into the stock market or potentially other derivatives or equities within the financial system. So watch those closely. Watch Ethereum very closely. Watch Bitcoin closely, Litecoin closely, and Bitcoin Cash, simply because those are all the cryptocurrencies that the Federal Reserve of the United States monitors. So there's a lot of uncertainty going on right now. But if you look past the uncertainty, within 3 to 4 months, all of that uncertainty short term is going to be pushed to the wayside. So one could theorize what might happen to the markets if we have a dollar that's rallying, cryptocurrencies that are rallying, and an equities market that is rallying. That is a perfect trifecta for the most economically prosperous time in the world. Now, this is why I say it's a credit cycle, okay? We have business cycles. In a business cycle, you have its peak and then you have its trough. During the trough, you get recessions, okay? Recessions like followed back in 2008 financial crisis, stuff like that. But this is different. This is a credit cycle simply because of all the credit funnels that the Federal Reserve has issued from 2008, whenever the banks first collapsed. They began buying back equities, buying back assets, and so forth. And because of that, they've told us that they can only ever succeed economically if they continue to buy back assets at a certain point in time, which right now they're buying it. During the coronavirus, they bought trillions of dollars worth. Globally, they bought like 20-some trillion dollars worth of debt. So clearly, governments continually fund their own debt, which leads you again to negative interest rates coming at some point in the future. But let's think how this is going to impact the physical economy, okay? While all this uncertainty is going on, and a lot of people are distracted with the election coming up, stimulus, the coronavirus, whatever it may be, companies have begun laying off permanently their furloughed employees. Disney, for example, Boeing, American Airlines, and many others have actually started firing permanently employees that were once furloughed and told they were going to be hired back on in the future. That is how a credit cycle works. I find this fascinating because it's the first time in American history we are experiencing a credit cycle and nobody even realizes it. there is potential for incredible amounts of money to be made if you know exactly what you're looking at. And thankfully, God's blessed me with the amount of time to be able to see all of this occurring and has called me to just take action and notice this happening, because he said, this is important for your future. You need to watch this happening. And so I'm watching it happening, and I just want to document it and share it with you guys. So what happens during a credit cycle is you have an economy physically that is suffering, but you have an entire equities, derivatives, digital, whatever market that is thriving, because that thriving market overshadows everything bad going on in the physical economy. You personally, whether you're doing good or bad, are either going to hate or love this credit cycle. So choose wisely how you want to invest your time, invest in your future, and your economic outlook for your own family's growth in their lifetimes. I, for one, want to make sure my family is prosperous in the future, and thus I'm starting to invest and find out where my money needs to be placed now. So with everything going on, credit cycles are flipping the script on what we know to be recessions. And the Fed has begun buying back trillions and trillions of dollars of bonds all over again, which is why digital currencies have been skyrocketing again, because the Federal Reserve is now leveraging their economy against digital assets. Similar to how in 2008, every economy from China to Europe to England to Americas, they all hedged their currencies against one another to kind of get out of that recession. Well, what else can you hedge against one another besides your own physical economies? Next best thing would probably be cryptocurrencies, okay? And if your dollar is whatever you say it's worth, well, then digital assets, whatever they say they're worth. So if people keep pumping digital assets, well, then the markets keep pumping as well. And that all forms a huge credit cycle, because credit all takes place digitally. Nothing physical, no actual physical handing of cash takes place within those transactions. I think this is really cool to document a credit cycle. I think it's very interesting how the Federal Reserve is finally taking notice of a digital currency, which should be here probably sometime in 2021 or 2022. I don't doubt that the Fed has finally gotten tired of these banks loading up on assets and then just dumping them out of the blue when the market goes bad, and the Fed having to buy back everything and spend all this money. So this might be the one way they can take power away from the banks and prevent economic collapses from happening, is by giving everybody their own digital wallet, and therefore Federal Reserve physically handing them digital currency whenever it's needed. If you think about it, your savings or checking account has a routing number, an accounting number. It's simple. That's the exact same thing as a digital wallet. When you get a digital cryptocurrency wallet, you get an ID and you can send digital currencies anywhere in the world. It's what banks do, but banks hold your digital wallet for you. If the Fed gives you a digital ID, some of their social security number, you can get cash sent to and via from and send it to whoever you want, and it's physical cash because it's digitally printed by the United States Federal Reserve. Interesting theorizing concept. I'll cover all of that later, but it's actually viable. Let's talk about another thing that's come up that you probably realize is a credit bubble coming out. Well, credit bubble is how they're inflating this additional credit bubble that causes a credit cycle, okay? You either push it up and go big or go home, or you lose everything and your entire economy collapses. People don't realize if our stock market collapses right now, the devastation that's going to hit our economy. Can you imagine if people looked at the world, looked at our global economy, our physical stock market that they register everything on, and they see it's down 20,000 points for the year? That would be astronomically bad. Like, people would just cease to start working, which is what some people are doing now. But there are some who are progressing and who are finding ways to innovate and push past, which is what we need to be doing. If you're stagnant right now, you will lose in the future. I can 100% tell you with certainty, if you're doing nothing to be active, be productive in your life, to benefit, or potentially be investing so that you are greater in the future, you will fail. You will suffer and you will fail right now in this economy. So find ways to make sure what you're doing now is going to be benefiting you in the future. That's the best piece of advice I think anyone could tell anybody right now in crazy hardship economic times. Even if it's just finding work to continue having a flow of income, at least you're doing something productive and not relying on anyone else for your own future. That's what you have to do. That's what I'm doing, and that's what I recommend everybody else start doing also. I've just been blessed with a gift of being able to have a passion for these markets and just understand what's going on and see things and theorize and analyze stuff in a way that I can't see anybody else being able to do it. Like, when I'm bored, I just watch the live feed of cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum and Bitcoin, because it's fascinating to see that thing move and how currencies are continually moving 24/7 and money shifting from one place to another without ever stopping. That is so cool to me. So despite all the uncertainty out there, there's a lot more benefits going on, and there's a lot more coming to the stock market than people realize. I mean, in the best of sense, I'm personally loading up on a lot of stuff in the stock market right now, because I think after this election, uncertainty is going to decrease. That's pretty obvious. I've already said why. And then we're also going to have stimulus. both of which the market is going to astronomically love. So I think this next quarter, this next year, this next month is probably going to be some of the best, most economically prosperous times in American history. We're going to have so much innovation, we're going to have so much progression. Everything else is going to seem like a blur. For me, for somebody who's prepared for something like this, for somebody who's not watching this, who's just sitting by, relying on government support, who's just caring only about making sure their candidate gets in office or whatever it is, I can't tell you what they're gonna do, because I literally don't spend brain power thinking about stuff like that. I only spend brain power thinking about what I need to do to get to where I wanna be a year from now, a month from now, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. I'm only spending time thinking about that, okay? God's called me to do other stuff in my life, which 2020, as crazy as things have been, God's opened up so much to my eyes, and I cannot thank him enough for that. But I may do a video on that later, because I don't know who's all ready to hear that, but it's some of the most amazing stuff I can ever explain, and I'm still trying to figure out how to explain it to myself. But disregarding that, be ready, guys. These times aren't going to get any easier, but there are places where it can be better than left off in the dust. And a lot of people are going to be left off in the dust, and you will find your friends and family in certain places. You're going to be sitting there devastated financially, economically, just emotionally, because they're lost. When the simplest thing they can do is get up and beat the crap out of life. The easiest way to do that is to make sure what you're doing today is benefiting your future, benefiting your tomorrow. Find ways to constantly be innovating. Surround yourself with people who want to be better, who want to do better, who want better lives for themselves, because you will feed off of that energy, because it's the most contagious virus in the world. Screw the coronavirus. You want something that's more powerful than the coronavirus? Get motivation, okay? That's why I'm such a big advocate for working out, being healthy, and being in the gym. Okay, if you're working out, your diet's right, you're on point, you're training hard, you're running, you're athletic, whatever it may be, your body's gonna look good. But the moment you slack off in the gym, the moment you say, I'm good, you get complacent, your health starts to deteriorate. You don't look as good, you don't feel as good. And you realize that. So translate that into your own life. When you stop focusing on improving, when you stop focusing on wanting to be better, when you get complacent, what do you think is gonna happen in your life? That's just my 2 cents, that's my advice. I don't like people around me suffering. Okay, so I like everyone around me to be prosperous, so I'm probably the most motivational, but at the same time, the most hard up person in the world, because I won't let people around me fail. I will not let that happen. That's just not who I am. So I'm not doing this for money. I do this because I have a passion for it, and I believe God's calling me to tell people how to be ready. And if they want to listen to me and they can listen to God, then that's fine. That's great. You know, he's using me, giving me a platform. YouTube's available so I can post stuff like this. But whatever the case may be, I'm not buying any of this going on. A lot of people have crazy price targets that are super low, but they're all greedy. Think about banks having super ridiculously low price targets when bond yields have never been lower, when interest rates have never been lower. It makes absolutely no sense. With the Fed buying back as much quantitative easing as they've done, it makes absolutely no sense to have a lower price target now than you did when they last beat earnings in the previous quarter. It's absolutely mind-blowing that they do stuff like that. I think it's personally because they want to cover their short positions, and they get too greedy at one point, so they short a lot of stuff, and then they have to dump their shorts onto the rest of the American society. So don't be stupid, guys. Make your own decisions. Don't listen to the news. Do your own research, okay? I actually go out and research my own stuff. I have probably terabytes of data stored in my head. If you look at my phone photos and scroll up for 5 minutes, it's literally just stocks and Bloomberg news articles of stuff going on, and I create my own assumptions and theories from there. And when I see my theories and assumptions playing out in the real society and the real economy and the stock market, I want to make a video about it, because I want you to be aware of this too and take notice, because if you don't, you might get screwed listening to the people on the news who say everything's going to fall to oblivion, when that's not what's going to happen. So take with it what you will, guys. I wanted to get this out there because, man, I have spent, ever since my last video, just 24/7 watching this market, and I cannot believe what's coming, and it's crazy that people don't want to see it because they're so focused on what's going on now. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far in video, please consider subscribing, liking the video. I want to get this out to as many people as I can, because I just want people who want to be around me, who want to trust me and listen to me, to be prosperous as well. So thank you for watching, guys. This is Life with Kyle. Have a good day.